All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts. The trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Historyless. Zoomers cut off from their cultural heritage by satanic Marxism, Feminism, and Postmodernity. Written by Conrad Riker, available now. Links in description. Historyless, a cold shower for comfortable lies. You have heard it. You will hear it again. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's interesting that you got so defensive when I just asked a simple question. And in that half second before your brain catches up to your mouth, you will feel it, the pull to explain. Don't. Most men misread this phrase as a factual claim requiring a factual rebuttal. They pull out the receipts. They reconstruct timelines. They speak slowly, as if testifying before a tribunal that still honors evidence. But there is no tribunal here. There is only a woman who made an error, got corrected, and discovered that the fastest way to erase her error is to make your correction the subject of the conversation. The moment you defend your tone, the original fact is buried alive. Panic makes it worse. Pleading makes it worse. Cross-examining her logic as though she were a hostile witness in your personal courtroom, entertaining, but useless, makes it worse, because all 3 responses share the same fatal assumption. That she is asking for information. She is not. She is performing a move, and the move has a name, the Aristides trap. Its mechanics are ancient. Its grammar is precise, and it can be dismantled, but not by arguing, not by apologizing, not by burning with righteous fury at the injustice of being called defensive for the crime of being correct. The solution is translation. You must hear not what she says, but what the sentence does. Beneath every just asking is a demand. Beneath every interesting that is an accusation already convicted. Beneath every simple question is a trap with only one exit, and the exit is labeled confession. Translation under truth means you stop answering the question she pretended to ask and start naming the move she actually made, calmly. Once, then you return to the fact, and you let the fact stand where it belongs, outside her emotional jurisdiction, and under no one's authority but reality's, the phrase. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's interesting that you got so defensive when I just asked a simple question. It's almost like you're hiding something. Speaker context? A wife confronts her husband after he calmly corrects a minor factual error in her recounting of a social interaction with her mother. He offered the correction in a neutral tone, but she perceived it as a challenge to her narrative authority. Surface meaning. The speaker claims she is not accusing him of error, but is merely observing his emotional reaction, defensiveness, as a data point that suggests hidden guilt or concealment, hiding something, hidden demand. He must abandon the factual record in favor of her emotional comfort. He is demanded to apologize for his tone or reaction rather than the content of his speech, effectively surrendering his epistemic authority to validate her superior social intuition. Core contradiction. She claims to be asking a simple question, implying openness and low stakes, while simultaneously issuing a verdict on his character, hiding something based on a subjective feeling of being defensive. The question is not open-ended. It is a closed trap where any defense is proof of guilt. Phrase map. The Aristides trap. The phrase, "I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's interesting that you got so defensive when I just asked a simple question. It's almost like you're hiding something." Speaker context. A wife confronts her husband after he calmly corrects a minor factual error in her recounting of a conversation with her mother. His tone was neutral. Her narrative authority was bruised. The machine activates. Surface meaning she claims she is not accusing him of error, only observing his defensiveness as suspicious data suggesting concealment. Hidden demand. Surrender the factual record. Apologize for tone, not content. Transfer epistemic authority to her social intuition. The correction must be retracted by reframing the corrector as morally defective. Core contradiction. A simple question carries no verdict. Yet she issues a verdict, hiding something embedded inside the question. Any answer confirms the charge. Silence confirms the charge. Calmness is reframed as coldness. Explanation is reframed as panic. The trap is sealed before he speaks. Girl logic pattern. The defensiveness loop. If you explain you are defensive, you are guilty, your explanation is a lie, your explanation proves you are lying. The loop feeds on itself. Output is predetermined. Input is irrelevant. Girl math pattern. Her feeling of being challenged, subjective, unfalsifiable, outweighs the factual correction, objective, verifiable. Emotional weight, greater than or equal to 10 units. Factual accuracy, less than or equal to 1 unit. His defensiveness threatens her status. Her inaccuracy does not register as a cost. The equation always solves to his fault. Projection pattern, inductive projection. She takes a single cue, his tone, real or imagined, and inductively leaps to a global character verdict. He is hiding something. This is not reasoning. It is emotional projection, dressed in the vocabulary of observation. Projective confession. The accusation is a mirror. She is hiding something. Her shame at being corrected. She cannot tolerate the exposure of error, so she projects the concealment onto him. The man wears the mask of her refused vulnerability. Decoding axis 1, inductive projection. Definition: one small cue inflated into a global verdict. Evidence: it's almost like you're hiding something. Fallacy: hasty generalization divided by non sequitur. Male decode: no evidence has been offered. A conclusion has been asserted. Do not chase phantom proof. Axis 2, tone policing versus evidence. Definition: delivery is prioritized over content to avoid engaging content. Evidence: you got so defensive when I just asked a simple question. Fallacy: red herring divided ad hominem. Male decode: she attacks the vessel to sink the message. His calmness is reframed as aggression because composure disrupts her emotional narrative. Axis 3, face saving versus honesty. Definition: social image is preserved at the expense of shared truth. Evidence: I'm not saying you're wrong, but fallacy, plausible deniability. Male decode: the but annihilates the preamble. She is saying he is wrong. She simply wants credit for gentleness while executing the strike. Axis 4, the contradiction chain. Definition: a self-sealing loop where response equals proof. Evidence: interesting that you got so defensive. Fallacy: circular reasoning divided by Kafka trap. Male decode: the game is rigged before the dice are cast. Explanation is evidence. Silence is evidence. There is no move that does not confirm the thesis. Counter logos protocol. Do not apologize for tone unless genuinely rude. Confessing to defensiveness while calm validates her false reality. Do not over-explain. Every sentence becomes fuel for the reframing engine. Name the move calmly. You are interpreting a factual correction as a personal attack. That is your reading, not my intent. Anchor in the fact is X. Your feeling is Y, both exist. X remains the fact. Refuse the simple question frame. That was not a simple question. It was a verdict delivered as a question. Hold the line. I will discuss the facts. I will not discuss my tone as though it were evidence of guilt. Disengage on escalation. We see this differently. I am stepping away from this conversation. Document the pattern. A single instance may be fatigue. Repetition reveals architecture. Maintain internal certainty. Her narrative is not the verdict. Reality does not require her consent. Maxim, the hamster spins because the conscience knocked. External locus is accountability fleeing the scene in disguise. Rationalization is the receipt printed after appetite already bought the thing. No insight, no repair, no trust. Truth begins where the hamster wheel stops. Decode and debunk the Aristides trap, the phrase. I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's interesting that you got so defensive when I just asked a simple question. It's almost like you're hiding something. What it sounds like a gentle, innocent observation. A woman who cares about transparency, who noticed something odd, who is generously giving you the benefit of the doubt. She is not accusing you. She is wondering, she is curious. She even said she's not saying you are wrong. How generous, how open-minded. That is what it sounds like. What it is a sealed room with no exits. The phrase arrives wearing the costume of a question. It carries the posture of innocence. It deploys the vocabulary of therapeutic non-judgment. Interesting, almost like just asked. Each word is chosen to minimize her footprint while maximizing your shadow. She is not striking you. She is noticing you flinch. The strike is invisible. The flinch is evidence. You corrected a factual error. She responded not to the correction, but to the audacity of the correction. The factual record became secondary. Your tone, your posture, your vibe, these became the primary text. And now you're standing in the dock, accused not of a crime, but of a feeling you supposedly caused in her by existing incorrectly in her vicinity. The phrase sounds reasonable. That is its weapon. What it is doing, strip the cosmetics. Here is the machinery operating beneath the surface. Literal meaning, you are not necessarily wrong, but your emotional reaction suggests concealment. Emotional meaning, you challenged my narrative authority by correcting me. That challenge caused a feeling I do not like. That feeling is your fault. I will make you responsible for both the feeling and the original error disappearing from the record. Social meaning, I am the calm, reasonable person asking honest questions. You are the agitated person acting suspiciously. If anyone were to walk in right now, they would see me as the seeker of truth and you as the cornered defendant. Hidden request, retract the correction. Apologize for your tone, surrender the factual record to my emotional comfort. Concede that my version of events is the legitimate one because I am the one who feels right. And feelings are the currency that settles all disputes. Possible test, this may function as a steadiness probe. She wants to see if you crumble, grovel, over-explain, or lose composure when your character is questioned without evidence. If you fold, she learns that accusations alone are sufficient to control the factual record. If you hold, she learns that you are not operable by shame alone. Hypocrisy. She claims she is not accusing you while issuing a verdict. She claims she asked a simple question while asserting that you are hiding something. The question is not simple. The question is a jury instruction dressed as curiosity. The girl logic contradiction. Here is the logical architecture laid bare. She made a factual error. You corrected it calmly. She felt challenged. She reframed your correction as defensiveness. She declared defensiveness to be evidence of guilt. Therefore, your correction of her error became proof that you are the problem. The original error has vanished. The correction has been criminalized. The corrector has been diagnosed. She has lost nothing. You have lost the fact, the moral high ground, and potentially hours of your evening. This is not reasoning. This is architecture designed to produce a predetermined output, regardless of input, the girl math accounting. Her feeling of being challenged, subjective, unfalsifiable, unmeasurable, weightless as vapor. Your factual correction, objective, verifiable, grounded in a shared record, carrying actual informational weight. In the accounting of the phrase, the vapor outweighs the stone. Her emotional state counts as evidence. Your factual accuracy counts as aggression. The ledger is rigged before the first number is entered. The equation always resolves to his fault. The decoding axis 1, inductive projection. One data point, his tone, real or fabricated, is inflated into a global character verdict. He got defensive becomes he is hiding something. No chain of inference connects these claims. No evidence bridges the gap. The projection is not reasoned. It is felt, then asserted, then treated as established fact. The move, take one cue, strip it of context, and build a cathedral of accusation on it. Your decode, no evidence has been offered. A conclusion has been asserted. Do not search for the evidence she did not provide. The absence of evidence is not a puzzle to solve. It is the tell. Axis 2, tone policing versus evidence. The content of your correction is abandoned. The delivery of your correction becomes the sole subject. Your calmness is reframed as coldness. Your precision is reframed as hostility. Your willingness to correct her at all is reframed as an act of dominance she is entitled to punish. The move, attack the vessel to sink the message. If the messenger can be pathologized, the message never arrives. Your decode, she is not debating the fact. She is debating your right to state it. Recognize the pivot. The conversation is no longer about what happened. It is about whether you're permitted to say what happened. Axis 3, face-saving versus honesty. The preamble, I'm not saying you're wrong, exists solely to purchase social credit. She is saying you are wrong. The word but annihilates everything before it. This is grammatical law. The phrase is engineered so that she receives the moral credit of magnanimity while executing the strike of accusation. The move, preserve the innocent inquirer mask while delivering the guilty defendant verdict. Your decode, the but, is the whole phrase. Everything before it is packaging, everything after it is the product. Read the product, not the label. Axis 4, the contradiction chain. This is the trap's load-bearing wall. Explanation is reframed as defensiveness. Defensiveness is reframed as guilt. Guilt is reframed as proof that the explanation was a lie. The loop is sealed. Input is irrelevant. Output is predetermined. If you speak, you are defensive. If you are silent, you are evasive. If you are calm, you are cold and calculating. If you are warm, you are overcompensating. Every posture confirms the thesis. The verdict was written before the trial began. The move, construct a frame in which no possible response escapes confirmation of the charge. Your decode, do not seek exoneration inside a courtroom where innocence is structurally impossible. Name the architecture. Refuse the frame. Step outside the loop rather than running faster inside it. The fallacies. The phrase is a masterwork of compressed fallacy. Each clause carries logical weight that collapses under examination. Hasty generalization. From you corrected me in a tone I did not like to, you are hiding something. The distance between premise and conclusion contains no evidence, no chain of reasoning, no intermediate steps. The gap is filled entirely by feeling projected as fact. Non sequitur. Even granting that a person became defensive and defensiveness has not been established, only asserted, it does not follow that defensiveness indicates concealment. People become defensive for many reasons: injustice, exhaustion, being repeatedly misunderstood, being accused without evidence. The conclusion does not follow from the premise. Red herring. The original subject, her factual error, has been replaced by a new subject, your emotional state. The conversation has been hijacked. You are now debating your tone instead of her accuracy. The factual record is buried under the emotional fog, which is the strategic purpose. Ad hominem, circumstantial. Rather than addressing the content of your correction, she attacks your character and implied motives. If you can be shown to be hiding something, then your correction loses credibility regardless of its factual merit. The man is poisoned, so the message dies with him. Circular reasoning. The accusation of defensiveness is proven by the response to the accusation of defensiveness. You are defensive. I am not defensive. That is a defensive response. The thesis generates its own evidence. The wheel turns on itself. Kafka, trap. The structure guarantees guilt. There is no innocent response. Denial is proof of guilt. Silence is proof of guilt. Calmness is proof of guilt. Anger is proof of guilt. The trap is not designed to discover truth. It is designed to manufacture the appearance of guilt from any material you provide. Plausible deniability. The phrase is engineered so that if you challenge it, she can retreat. I was just making an observation. I was just asking, why are you so upset? The weapon strikes and then dissolves. The wound remains, the blade becomes air. The male error modes. The trap works because men are trained by culture, by instinct, by desperate hope, to resolve conflict through explanation. The phrase is calibrated to exploit that training. Error 1. Over-explaining. You sense the injustice of the accusation. You produce evidence. You lay out the timeline. You demonstrate your calmness. You prove, fact by fact, that you are not defensive. Each sentence is confiscated as fuel. The more you explain, the more defensive you appear, because the frame has already defined explanation as defensiveness. You are feeding wood into a machine designed to produce fire. Error 2. Apologizing for tone. You did nothing wrong, but the social pressure of the accusation creates discomfort, and you reach for the fastest tool to restore peace, the apology. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound defensive. The moment those words leave your mouth, the factual record is sealed against you. You have confessed to a crime you did not commit. The original correction is now buried under your false confession, and she has been vindicated without having to address her error at all. Error 3. Chasing phantom proof. She said you are hiding something. Your instinct is to prove you are hiding nothing, but you cannot prove a negative against an unspecified charge. What are you hiding? She will not say. Hiding what? She will not specify. The accusation is deliberately vague because vagueness is impossible to refute. You chase the ghost. The ghost moves, you exhaust yourself. She watches. Error 4. Becoming genuinely defensive. The accusation is unjust. Injustice produces anger. Anger, expressed, looks exactly like what she described. She has predicted your reaction, engineered it, and now points to it as confirmation. You have become the character she wrote for you. The script is performed. The audience, real or imagined, sees exactly what she wanted them to see. Error 5. Treating the frame as reasonable. The deepest error is engaging the phrase as if it were a legitimate observation, deserving a legitimate response. It is not. It is a tactical maneuver disguised as a personal impression. Treating it as good faith inquiry grants it a legitimacy it has not earned and cannot sustain. The disciplined response. The response is not better words, it is a different stance. Principle 1. Do not apologize for tone unless you were genuinely rude. If your correction was calm, factual, and proportionate, confessing to defensiveness is a surrender of reality. You are not buying peace. You are selling truth, and the price of that sale will be paid in every future conversation, because she has learned that accusations alone are sufficient to override the factual record. Principle 2. Do not over-explain. The phrase feeds on explanation. Every sentence you produce becomes raw material for reframing. State your position once, clearly, and stop. The fact is X, I corrected the record because the record was wrong. That is not defensiveness. That is accuracy. Principle 3. Name the move, not with anger, not with a lecture on logical fallacies. One sentence, you are interpreting a factual correction as a personal attack. That is your reading, not my intent. Then stop. Let the sentence sit. Do not decorate it. Principle 4. Anchor in the fact. The fact remains X. Your feeling about my delivery is noted. The fact does not change. Return to the record. Stay on the record. The record is the ground she is trying to leave, because on the record she is wrong and you are right. On the terrain of emotion, she has home field advantage. Do not fight on her terrain. Principle 5. Refuse the simple question frame. That was not a simple question. It was a verdict delivered as a question. I will not pretend otherwise. This destroys the plausible deniability she built into the phrase. She wanted to be the innocent inquirer. Name her as the accuser, not cruelly, not with heat, with the steady calm of a man who sees the board clearly. Principle 6. Hold the boundary. I am happy to discuss what happened. I will not discuss my tone as though it were evidence of guilt. This separates the two conversations she has fused together. The factual conversation is open. The character prosecution is closed. Principle 7. Disengage on escalation. If the phrase becomes a pattern, if every correction triggers the defensiveness loop, if every factual dispute becomes a character trial, step back. We see this differently. I'm going to step away from this conversation. Withdrawal is not defeat. It is refusal to participate in a rigged proceeding. Principle 8. Document the pattern. A single instance may be fatigue, stress, a bad day. Repetition reveals architecture. If this move appears every time you correct her, every time you hold a position she dislikes, every time the factual record threatens her preference, you are looking at a structural pattern, not an emotional moment. Patterns require boundaries, not negotiation. Principle 9. Maintain internal certainty. Her narrative is not the verdict. Her feelings are data about her internal state, not evidence about your character. Reality does not require her consent. You can hold the fact quietly without needing her to validate it, without needing to win, without needing her to confess. The fact stands, you stand with it. The good faith possibility. There is a version of this phrase that comes from genuine hurt. Perhaps your tone was sharper than you realized. Perhaps the correction landed as humiliation rather than information. Perhaps she is not weaponizing insecurity, but expressing real vulnerability. The test is simple. Does she accept clarification? If you say calmly, "I was not being defensive, I was correcting the record." If my tone felt sharp, that was not my intent. Does the conversation resolve? Does she acknowledge the correction? Does the original fact survive? If yes, this was good faith sensitivity. Adjust your delivery. Move forward together. If no, if the correction is never accepted, if the defensiveness frame is reinforced regardless of what you say, if the factual record is permanently buried under the emotional narrative, you are not in a conversation. You are in a prosecution. Act accordingly, the projective confession. The deepest layer of the phrase is this: the accusation is a mirror. She is the one who was wrong. Being wrong produced shame. Shame is intolerable. The shame must go somewhere. It cannot stay with her, because her self-image cannot absorb it, so it travels. It finds the nearest screen. The screen is you. She calls you defensive because she is defensive. She says you are hiding something because she is hiding something, the fact that she was wrong, the discomfort of being exposed, the anger at having her authority challenged by a fact she cannot refute. You become the mask. You wear the face of her refused shame. The projection is not deliberate cruelty. It is psychological machinery operating beneath awareness. But its effects are real, and its pattern is identifiable, and its demands are unacceptable. You do not cure her projection by absorbing it. You do not heal her shame by confessing to sins you did not commit. You hold the fact, you hold the line, you let the mirror sit where it belongs. Maxims, the hamster spins because the conscience knocked. External locus is accountability, fleeing the scene in disguise. Rationalization is the receipt printed after appetite already bought the thing. Projection makes the nearest man wear the mask of her refused shame. No insight, no repair, no trust. Truth begins where the hamster wheel stops. Male response protocol. The Aristides prococol. 9 moves for the defensiveness trap. The Aristides trap is a sealed room. Every door is painted on. She hands you a brush and says, "Prove you didn't paint them." Below is the protocol for walking through walls. Move 1, slow down. Name the Michigan. The moment you hear, "It's interesting that you got so defensive, your nervous system spikes." That spike is the trap's power source. She wants the spike. The spike is the evidence. So the first discipline is physiological. Breathe, pause 1 full beat, and silently name the pattern. This is not a conversation about facts. This is a Kafkaesque arousal harvest. She needs your reaction to manufacture her proof. Internal label, trap identified. She is collecting my reactivity as Exhibit A. Nothing said yet. The silence is the first victory. Move 2. Identify the hidden climb. Every Aristides phrase carries a surface payload and a buried warhead. The surface payload is "I'm just asking." The warhead is "You are guilty, and I am the one who gets to decide." Your job is to name the warhead to yourself first, then aloud if needed. Surface, I just asked a simple question. Warhead, your correction of me is evidence of your moral defect. This is the inversion move. She made the error. You corrected it. Your correction becomes the crime. The original fact, her error, vanishes down the memory hole, replaced by your defensiveness. This is how gynocentric discourse functions. The man's reaction to the woman's fault becomes the topic, and the fault evaporates. Name it internally. She is replacing the factual record with a character audit of me. Move 3. Separate fact from feeling. Draw the line aloud. Now you speak, not to defend, not to explain, to bifurcate. You draw a bright line between the objective record and the emotional narrative, and you declare which one you will discuss and which one you will not. Say, "The fact is, you said X happened Tuesday, it happened Thursday. I corrected that. Your feeling is that my correction was defensive. Those are two separate things. I'll discuss the first. I won't discuss the second. This move is critical because it refuses the genocentric merge where her feeling colonizes the fact and the fact becomes an emotional artifact. You are performing grammar in the oldest sense. Grammatike, the art of letters, of making distinctions, of sorting reality into its proper categories. The word grammar comes from Greek gramma, that which is drawn a letter, a line. You are drawing a line. She will resist the line. That resistance is data. Move 4 ASK for the direct request. The Aristides phrase is never a request. It is a verdict disguised as an inquiry. But the mask of inquiry is her escape route, plausible deniability. I was just asking, so you corner the request. You demand she state in plain imperative voice what she actually wants from you, say. Are you asking me to apologize for correcting a factual error? Are you asking me to agree I was defensive? Are you asking me to confess to hiding something? State the request directly, and I'll answer it directly. This move is devastating because it forces explicitness. The Aristides trap feeds on ambiguity. Remove the ambiguity and the mechanism grinds. She will likely retreat, repassage, or escalate, all of which confirm the trap was never a question. If she says, "I'm not asking you to do anything," then respond, "Then there's nothing to address. I stand by the correction." Move 5, refuse mind-reading guilt. It's almost like you're hiding something. This is inductive projection. She takes one data point, your tone, and leaps to a global character verdict you are concealing. It is hasty generalization dressed as feminine intuition. Do not accept telepathy as evidence. Do not dignify the accusation by disproving a negative. Say, you're interpreting a calm correction as concealment. That's your interpretation, not a fact. I'm not responsible for what you infer from my tone. The word interpret is surgical here. It names her move as her move. It locates the agency where it belongs, in her mind, not in your behavior. You are not making her feel anything. She is generating a narrative and stapling it to you. If she pushes, "I know what I saw, hold. You saw me correct you calmly." Everything after that is your story. Move 6, reward directness. This is the carrot to moves 4 and 5 stick. If at any point she drops the Aristides framing and says something direct, "I felt embarrassed when you corrected me in front of the kids," you immediately acknowledge it without gloating, without "I told you so," without scoring points. Say, "Thank you for telling me directly. I didn't intend to embarrass you. Let's talk about it." This is behavioral conditioning in the classical sense. You are training the interaction toward honesty by making directness safe and rewarding. The Aristides trap persists because indirect aggression is safer than direct vulnerability. Make directness safer, and the trap loses its appeal. But note, you reward directness, not compliance. If she says, "I want you to never correct me again," that is direct but unreasonable. You acknowledge the directness and decline the demand. "I heard you. I'll consider the timing, but I won't agree to never correct factual errors." Move 7, set the boundary. State what you won't debate. The Aristides trap is a circular contempt engine. Your explanation proves your defensiveness. Your denial proves your guilt. Your silence proves your evasion. There is no move inside the circle that wins. So you must step outside it by declaring a boundary. Certain things are not on the table. Say, "I've corrected the fact. I've told you I'm not hiding anything. I'm not going to debate my tone or prove a negative. If you want to discuss the actual topic, I'm here. If you want to audit my emotional state, I'm not." This is the logos boundary. Logos, the word, the rational principle, the ordering logic of reality, draws distinctions. Boundary setting is logos in action. You are saying, reality has structure. Some things are discussable, some are not. The discussion of my inner life as evidence for your narrative is closed. She will test the boundary. That is what boundaries are for. Hold it. Move 8, document if the pattern is structural. One Aristides moment is a bad mood. A weekly pattern is a control architecture. If this move recurs, if every factual disagreement becomes a defensiveness audit, if every correction triggers a concealment accusation, you are not dealing with a communication glitch. You are dealing with a personality structure that uses rhetorical traps to avoid accountability. Document quietly, not as a legal brief, as a pattern map. dates, phrases, context. This serves two purposes. It protects your sanity. Gaslighting works by making you doubt the pattern exists. Written records are the antidote to memory revision. It clarifies the stakes. If you can show yourself in your own handwriting that this has happened 15 times in 3 months, you stop negotiating with a moment and start evaluating a future. This is not paranoia, this is epistemic hygiene. The word document comes from Latin documentum, proof, lesson, warning. The document teaches you what the moment cannot. Move 9, exit the circular contempt. If she refuses directness, rejects the boundary, and continues looping, wow, you're really defensive now, you leave, not angrily, not with a door slam. With the calm certainty of a man who knows the difference between a conversation and a ritual sacrifice. Say, we're going in a circle. I've stated my position. I'm going to read for a while. We can talk later when we're both ready to discuss the actual topic. Then walk away. Do not re-engage. Do not send a follow-up text clarifying. Do not check your phone. The exit is the message. This is the nuclear discipline of refusal. The Aristides trap cannot function without your participation. Your presence is the oxygen. Remove it and the fire goes out. The word exit comes from Latin exire, to go out. The way out is out. The proshum colon, one breath. Slow down, name the trap. Separate fact from feeling, demand the direct request. Refuse telepathic evidence. Reward honesty when it appears. Draw the boundary. Document the pattern. Walk away from loops. 3 maxims for your wallet. The hamster spins because the conscience knocked. She wouldn't need to audit your defensiveness if she didn't know she was wrong. The intensity of the accusation is proportional to the shame she is refusing. Rationalization is the receipt printed after appetite already bought the thing. She didn't reason her way to, you're hiding something. She felt the sting of correction, and the Aristides phrase was the post hoc justification. The feeling came first. The logic is furniture. Truth begins where the hamster wheel stops. You cannot force her off the wheel. You can only refuse to run on it. Your stillness is the intervention. The Aristides trap is not an argument. It is a liturgical drama, a small, intimate reenactment of the gynocentric cosmology where the woman's emotional state is the Supreme Court. The man's rational correction is the crime, and the verdict is rendered before the trial begins. Every time you refuse to plead, you strike a blow for the logos that orders the cosmos. Every time you hold the fact above the feeling, you perform the oldest masculine function, standing between chaos and reality and refusing to move, axis checklist. Inductive projection, she is not giving evidence. She is stating a conclusion. Do not look for the evidence she hasn't provided. Response, I'm not hiding anything. I am simply correcting the record. If you want to discuss the record, let's look at the facts. Tone policing versus evidence. She is attacking your delivery to avoid engaging with your delivery. Your calmness is being interpreted as aggression because it disrupts her emotional narrative. Response, my tone was calm. My point was factual. Let's separate the two. Face-saving versus honesty. The but negates the not saying. She is saying you're wrong, but she wants the social credit for being gentle. Response, you're saying I am wrong, I disagree, let's move on. Girl logic contradiction chain. Any attempt to explain will be framed as more defensiveness. The game is rigged. Response, I will not defend my tone, I stand by the fact. I have spent years decoding this language because I had to. I watched good men, my father, my friends, myself, get orally waterboarded by sentences that sounded like questions but functioned as verdicts. Every entry in this dictionary, every axis, every projection pattern, every male protocol, it all reduces to one recurring catastrophe. A man abandons the factual record because a woman's emotional weather system has been mistaken for a moral emergency. She feels something. The feeling demands a cause. The nearest man becomes the cause. He defends. His defense becomes proof. The wheel turns, and at the end of it, nobody has talked about what actually happened. That is the architecture. It is not mysterious. It is not even personal. It is a grammar, a syntax of implication and withdrawal that substitutes social pressure for evidence. Once you can see the gears, you cannot unsee them. But here's the thing I need you to hear, because it would be a failure of honesty to leave you with decoding skills and no soul. The point of learning this language is not to become a prosecuting attorney in your own living room. The point is not to stand there, frozen and forensic, parsing every syllable while a woman you once loved speaks into the chill of your silence. That is its own surrender, a capitulation to the same broken system, just from the other side. You trade her fog for your ice, and now there are two people who cannot reach each other across a sea of unreality. I have seen men so armored in red pill certainty that they became exactly what they were accused of being: cold, unreachable, incapable of answering a genuine ache with anything but a syllogism. That is not mastery. That is trauma wearing a philosophy's overcoat. The one rule is this: translate her feeling, but do not inherit it. When she says something that sounds like an accusation and feels like a trap, do the translation work. Ask yourself, what is she actually feeling underneath the weaponized language? What fear, what shame, what hunger for reassurance is driving the inquisition? Name it to yourself honestly and with compassion, because she is a human being and human beings are not puzzles to be solved and discarded. But having named it, do not pick up her frame. Do not confess to a crime you did not commit. Do not abandon a fact to purchase a peace that will not last past the next mood. You can say with genuine warmth, I can see this upset you, and I care that you're upset, but I did not do what you're describing, and I won't pretend I did. That sentence, that combination of emotional honesty and factual spine, is the most loving thing a man can offer in a culture that has taught women their feelings are facts, and taught men that disagreement is abuse. It says, I see you, I am not leaving, but I will not lie to you, and I will not become your scapegoat to prove my love. That is the rule. Translate the feeling, refuse the frame, stay warm, stay true. Everything else is commentary, sponsored book. Historyless Zoomers cut off from their cultural heritage by satanic Marxism, feminism, and postmodernity. You wake up. The world feels wrong, not because of a job, a breakup, or a bad day, but because something deep in your bones knows the story you were promised doesn't exist anymore. You followed the rules, you went to school, got a job, treated people with respect, and still you're told you're part of the problem. You're told your identity is toxic, that your strengths are crimes, that your ancestors were oppressors, that history is a lie. That truth is oppression, that biology is bigotry. You're told to apologize for existing just because you're a man, just because you're white, just because you value order, discipline, and legacy. And if you push back, you're called a misogynist, a racist, a bigot, a fascist. This isn't confusion, this is war. And it's not being fought with guns. It's being fought in classrooms, in boardrooms, in courts, in media, in language, in your own mind. I know because I lived it. I grew up believing in merit. I believed if you worked hard, spoke honestly, and treated people fairly, you'd be rewarded. I believed in logic, in facts, in reason. I studied the classics, Plato, Aristotle, Augustine, Locke, Kant. I thought the West stood for freedom, truth, beauty, justice. Then I watched as every institution I trusted turned against those ideals. Schools stopped teaching grammar and started teaching gender ideology. History classes stopped honoring heroes and started dissecting power structures. Science was replaced with feelings. Debate was replaced with censorship. Men were pathologized. Women were weaponized. Boys were medicated. Fathers were erased. I saw young men, intelligent, capable, ambitious, collapse under guilt, shame, and confusion. I saw them give up. I saw them retreat. I saw them become numb. And I realized none of this happened by accident. This was engineered. This was designed. This was systemic. And it had a name, cultural Marxism. But that name hides the truth. This isn't just Marxism. It's a fusion of feminist ideology, postmodern epistemology, bureaucratic statism, and psychological manipulation, all working together to dismantle masculinity, erase history, and destroy lineage. This book is not for everyone. If you believe men and women are interchangeable, that biology is a social construct, that history is oppression, that feelings trump facts, that equity is more important than justice, then put this book down. Walk away. Go watch a Netflix special, scroll TikTok, attend a diversity workshop. This book is not for you. It will not comfort you. It will not validate your worldview. It will dismantle it. But if you're tired of being told you're the problem, if you're tired of watching your sons grow up confused, if you're tired of institutions that mock your values and mock your heritage, then this book is for you. It's for men who still believe in truth, in logic, in beauty, in duty, in honor, in fatherhood, in legacy. It's for men who want to understand how we got here, not through conspiracy theories, but through ideology, language, and power. It's for men who want to rebuild not with rage, but with clarity. You will learn how language has been turned into a weapon, how words like privilege, patriarchy, toxic masculinity, and equity are not descriptions, but traps. You will see how the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric has been replaced with emotional appeals, narrative control, and performative outrage. You will understand why postmodernism denies objective truth, because without truth, power decides what is real. You will see how feminism, far from being about equality, has become a system of female supremacy that infantilizes men and glorifies female victimhood. You will learn how institutions, schools, media, government have been captured by a feminist state complex that treats men as liabilities, not leaders. You will discover how collectivism destroys individual purpose, how the attack on lineage, heritage, and history leaves men rootless, empty, and disconnected. And you will see how this entire system is not an accident. It is the result of decades of ideological warfare, funded, organized, and executed with precision. This book is not theory. It is diagnosis. It is autopsy. It is rebellion. I've spent years studying the roots of this crisis, not in echo chambers, but in data, in history, in psychology, in philosophy. I've analyzed the rhetoric. I've dissected the ideology. I've traced the lineages of thought from Marx to Foucault to Butler to the DEI officers in your workplace. I've interviewed men who've lost everything, their families, their careers, their sense of self, not because they failed, but because the rules changed while they were playing by the old ones, and I found the pattern. The pattern is not random, it is intentional, it is strategic, and it can be reversed. But only if you see it clearly, only if you stop apologizing for who you are, only if you reclaim your mind, your history, your identity. This book will show you how. It will not make you comfortable. It will make you awake. And once you're awake, you can't go back. You'll see the lies, you'll see the manipulation, you'll see the emptiness behind the slogans. And you'll see the path forward, not through revolution, but through restoration. The West can be rebuilt, but only by men who remember who they are. Historyless, Zoomers cut off from their cultural heritage by satanic Marxism, feminism, and postmodernity. Written by Conrad Reicher. Buy now, links in description.